Welcome to class, soulmates. So, this is the outcome of the previous class we had on drafting. Okay, this is a caged bustier, and eventually, I did not add extra boning to the bodice of the blouse. So, stay tuned if this is what you want to see how it was actually put together until we arrived at this conclusion, which is still going to have a zipper. Okay, I didn't have the color of the zipper around, and that's why it's like this. So here I have my pattern papers. I'm going to start from the under bust to cut out my wording. I used wording for the men fabric. I'm going to add half an inch on the sides, right? And then at the neckline, I'm going to reduce it by half an inch so that it does not enter into the lining and become so puffy. Okay, add half an inch to the men to the sides, because on the men fabric we added half an inch and they need to match up. So the same thing I'm going to repeat on this part. I'll reduce the neckline by half an inch and then add half an inch to the sides. Remember, this wording is going to be stopping at the under bust. Okay, this is a very soft wording, not the hard type. I don't always use the hard type, or if you think the hard type is okay for you, that's also okay. So you can see this part clearly that I added half an inch to the side. This is the part that is going to be joined to the center front. Okay, and then at this armhole area, I'm going to be reducing it, right? I'm going to be reducing it because I don't want it to get into somehow into the armhole and then becomes uncomfortable. So I had to reduce it by 1 inch. You can have other methods to do this. Okay, so we proceed to ironing and placing it on the men fabric after adding our essay to it, and this is the outcome after joining it together and ironing on the men fabric. You can see how beautiful it is at the under bust, very beautiful. Now this is the lining. On this lining, I'm going to be adding the structure, the boning to cage the bust. Okay, so I'll draw out lines from the under bust. The caging is going to be from the under bust, and I'm using the tiniest of boning, the 0.6 centimeter, right? Is quite small. This will make it to be flexible for you to turn around and sew. So from the side, I'll mark 1.5 inch. 1.5 inch from where the post, 1 inch is our seam allowance, then half inch so it doesn't feel uncomfortable. And on the neckline, I'm going to come down by half an inch. That is where the boning is going to be fixed. It will not get into the seam line. So this is where I'll be connecting and then sew it round. Okay, and then I'm also going to sew it right round. Don't make it in form of four corner. You're going to curve it very well like so. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the sewing machine now and sew the boning, right? Of course, I'm going to follow us along. We're going to sew the upper part first, sew the seam line, and then we move over to the under bust. Okay, so this is the upper part. While sewing the upper part, you want to first of all join the part that is towards the neckline, then the lower part you're going to leave it like that until you insert other bonnets into it before closing it up. Okay, so once the upper part is done, we're now going to connect to the under bust, but whichever way you think is possible for you to connect it is still okay, right? In this case, I'm connecting at the under post before any other parts. So you're going to catch the post to right round, then move over to the in between to make sure it curves deep, right? So I've gotten the upper part and the under post, and then I'm going to be sewing the seam lines. You can see the one placing it. It's going to be inserted into the part that is open at the upper part. and then we sew it down. Now, when you look at the boning, it has two parts that is sewable, right? So you're going to make sure your needle does not get at the center, otherwise it's going to be cutting. Okay, so you sew on the parts that are kind of smooth. So you sew on both parts, except the upper parts where you're going to also insert other bonnets. Okay, after which you now sew on it, top stitch on it to finish it up. So after joining the horizontal, the vertical, it's time to join the horizontal, so that this horizontal will help to deepen the structure. Okay, it helps to deepen the bust. So after joining the vertical lines, it's now time to join the horizontal. As you're fixing this, you need to dip it inside so that it curves very well. You can see the way it is. So I'm going to be turning it. You can see how beautiful it came out. See how beautiful it came out. I so love it. So I'm going to try using this to fit it in and see how it is. Now, if I leave it this way, it has spaces. Okay, so I need to fill it in, and I'm using this fiber, the leftover fiber I have from previous work, to fill it in. You can as well use ester to do this, but the amount of ester I'm going to be using, ester is quite expensive now. So since I have this around, I'm going to use the fiber to fill it up. Okay, you have to keep it in such a way that it will not be too bulky, and it will not be too scanty. So you make sure that everywhere is properly filled up. Then I'll use my hemming gum to put it over, which later I'm going to be using my ester to wrap it up. You can see the way it is. So beautiful. So beautiful. Just look at it. Don't you like it? So beautiful. So at this point now, we can decide to add other parts of the garment. We can decide to add the sides first before closing it up, which is more easier for me. But then I'm going to be joining the neckline. But before joining the neckline, I'm going to be inserting my strap. Okay, we're going to insert the strap to the main fabric, and then use the lining, which is the part that is boned, to turn the neckline. I hope this makes sense. So I'm going to be cutting the neckline and inserting it, then turn on the neck, top stitch, turn on the neckline. I know you understand what I'm talking about. If you follow the illustration, you're going to get it. Okay, so we're making progress. You can see I've used pin to hold the straps together instead of just sewing it and then coming back to sew again. I use pins to hold them together so that I can just join everything at once. I hope this makes sense to you. So let's go to the sewing machine now and put everything together. You can see the way it is so beautiful. So the mirror. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be doing is to sew the hemline and make sure it comes out beautiful. You can see the way it is. Now we're not going to join the back side. The back side is quite easy to join, so I don't bother myself explaining how to fix the back side. It's just to join the pieces of fabric together, and the next thing is to join the strap to the back side and then use the lining to turn it up, the neckline of the back. I hope this makes sense. You can just follow the instructions, the video, and you'll be just going to get it. So the same way I turned the front, that is how I'm going to turn the back. We sew on the neckline for the back, leaving allowance for zip. Okay, we're leaving allowance for zipper, and then we're going to close every other part including the armhole, because this is not going to have a sleeve. It's only going to have the strap and then the draping that we're going to be doing on it later. You can see the way it is. So we've joined everything together by the sides, lining to lining, fabric to fabric, and this is how beautiful it is. So when I get the matching zipper, I'll fix on it, do some beadings, and show us how to go about it with the draping. Thank you for watching so much. See you in the next video.